July 27th. Nothing lasts forever. The late July sun beat down mercilessly on Canterlot. Its hot rays, a virtual torture that never seemed to end. That was the norm for a California summer. Even though autumn was a mere 2 months away, it almost seemed it would never arrive. There was no sign of clouds in the sky, and though the refreshing waters of the Sacramento River weren't that far away, they seemed almost to tease and taunt those trapped in office buildings. But for Posey, she merely ignored the trappings of the heat and sun in the cool, cool river. No, for her, the unbearable heat was just another reminder of why the world was a cruel, cruel place. Time of death, 8:02:26. Mark it, the art doctor said. Looking at Posey, who had just literally sprinted from her car to the room, Look, Poe, it's not your fault. I know, Tense, she told her colleague, Doctor Intensive Care, but no one likes losing a patient. Mrs. Mix was under my primary care. I hope she had a few more years. In the corner, Posey could see her best friend and colleague, Redheart, but she ignored the looks from the other woman at the moment. Posey, we all have to go sometime. He reminded her, nothing's eternal, or else the world would be a huge mess. Look at it this way. At least you merely hate to lose them. I have to be reminded of my wife every time this happens. The chiffon-haired doctor sighed. Sorry, Tense, I've forgotten. I don't, but I can't. He gave her a wan smile and added, at least I have my daughter out of what happened, and I wholeheartedly think my wife would agree. War Melody is the pride of my life, and I can't wait until she heads to college. Yeah, I know that was supposed to be Dr. Cox, but I couldn't help myself. Laura Jane's sunset was up early and managed to crawl downstairs before her mother left for work. As she descended the stairs, she noticed Twilight looking a little more agitated. She was carrying a bag of bird feed and placing it into a trap for an apartment of owls that had made their home in the backyard since the return of plum-haired scholar's wayward owl. Opening the backyard glass door, Sunset said, Morning, sis. You got up early. Hey, Twilight commented, not looking up from counting the 30 or so owls landing to stoop by the trowel. Most had already started chowing down on the feed. A mixture of dead insects, ground up rodents, and other meats necessary for the diet of a semi-trained bird of prey. Have you seen Aladdin? Aladdin? Yeah. Didn't we watch it the other night? The genie was hilarious. No, I mean my owl. Sunset blinked. You named him? Twilight grinned. I named them all. They are mine, right? Anyway, Aladdin's more gray than brown. I'm guessing one of his parents is a barn owl. Named him because he landed on my shoulder today one morning back in January when I was humming one of the songs from the movie. Anyway, he's been missing for 2 days, and it's not like him. He's a homebody, kind of lazy, honestly. Not even gonna ask. The flame-haired Tyrion commented as he leaned up against the door frame. A second later, the third member of the group showed up. Morning, Sleepy. Hiya yourself, Octavia yawned. Tavi, have you seen Aladdin? She nodded. Yeah. To be honest, I kind of prefer the Little Mermaid. No, I mean my owl. Octavia sighed. You named him Miss Obsessive Compulsive? Yes, I did. But he's been missing for 2 days, Twilight commented. I'm more than a little worried right now. Octavia's mind suddenly swam back to 2 days ago, or rather a night and a half ago, when she was lying in a pool of dirt, blood, and feathers. After she'd taken a shower, she realized something else had happened as well, and it terrified her more than anything else. She looked up to see all the owls staring at her, as if they knew what she had done, as if they were condemning her. I didn't do it. If I did, I didn't mean to. She wanted to shout. I didn't even know what happened. No, I hadn't. The teenage musician finally stammered, looking away from her cousins in the hope they didn't catch on. Hey, Taffy, are you okay? Twilight asked. I'm fine. Really? Octavia demurred, looking as though she was trying to hide from the universe. Given her recall of the events after Twilight's incidents due to her suffering from the 5 after effects, she wasn't sure that she wanted to tell anyone what was going on until she was absolutely sure that was the problem. The problem is, what if I do if something goes seriously wrong in the meantime? She mused with not a small amount of worry. If I really... Oh God, what's happening to me? Meanwhile, Sunset, Unaware of the drama going through her cousin's mind, patted Octavia on the shoulder. Nervous about today? Oh, yeah, just a little. Thankfully, Octavia had something to hide behind. Namely, that she and Sunset would be taking their driver's license test today. Twilight, who didn't have a car lined up for her, planned to take the test anyway, just so she could. The three of them had been practicing off and on since mid-June, with the three of them having taken the driver's course offered at Sunset School to boot. Well, let's go and get us some breakfast, okay? Twilight, you too. Don't worry about it, and I'm sure you'll turn up later, sooner or later. If you insist, Twilight sighed, then put the feed bag in its bin before joining them inside. Thank you, Doctor. Autumn Forest told Posey, you did all you could, and my mother lived a long life, but she wouldn't have had the extra days to say goodbye to her family if it wasn't for you. I'm sorry. I wish I could have done more, Posey replied, the guilt on her face telltale, but even I can't stop the reefer. I know. I need to make funerary preparations now, but once again, you have my sincerest gratitude for all you did, the man said. Posey looked down at his soft brown eyes, not quite showing the sorrow he would be feeling over the next few days. She also noted to an ironic degree the man's hair and beard, the color of dying leaves of the fall, clearly made it more understandable. I understand, Mr. Forrest. I'll leave you to your business. Unable to see more, and feeling the pain of his mother's death more personally right now than he was, Posey quietly walked back to the nurse's station, where Red Hot was waiting. You okay, Po? The red-haired woman spoke, look at stir on her face. Posey shook her head. No, I actually feel like I failed them. My patient, Red. She was my patient, and I couldn't save her. Posey looked over at the man, who was walking over to his grief-stricken family. I just hate losing them. Hey, a wise doctor once said, if you start blaming yourself for every single death that you cause, you're done. I know. Reinhardt said with sympathy. Come on, we'll turn this over to outpatient and go get you some coffee. Sounds like you need someone to chat with. Thanks, Red. Hey, what are best friends for? Meanwhile, had to walk back and talk to his family. The love of his life, his wife, Vanilla Cream, was already discussing things with her children. Fancy had a stoic look on his face. He had always been the stiff upper lip kind of child. Whoa, was not expecting this to go back to the Fancy Pants plot. Good job! Coco, on the other hand, was completely disconsolate. She'd been through an ordeal, a whole different situation as of recent. She didn't tell either of her parents what had happened. Her friend, Crackle, who did know, told them it had been something that the school's divas had taken care of. He wasn't sure what the divas had that much power outside of school, and she wouldn't tell on her friend. Autumn respected the young girl, so didn't pry further. We have to talk to outpatient services, and then we'll have to arrange something with a funeral house, Autumn said to Vanilla. His wife nodded. I'll call the funeral home and start making arrangements. But will you be able to hold up, love? And what will you tell Cream? Oh, I actually can't believe you did that! I'm sorry. He sighed. I have to. It's not like I could turn to my brother for help with any of this. I'll help in any way I can, Fancy spoke up. Me too, Dad. Thank you both, Francie. I want you and your sister to focus mostly on the wake. Vanilla, I want you to work on the funeral issue. I'll have to talk to the lawyer since he has the most recent copy of Mom's will, and he's the executor anyway. What about contacting our relatives? Vanilla said. My parents will want to make the trip from home. You know how the airport over in Omaha is this time of year. Then your sister-in-law. No, I didn't forget her, believe me. I'd be a fool to, given how much she loves Summer. I'll take care of those as well. See, I've got to make sure arrangements anyway, and I'll doubt others want too. Here you go, Knight said as he handed the keys to Sunset and Octavia. The smile on his face tempered with a bit of parental concern. All three had passed their driving tests, thus all three now had driver's licenses. Octavia inherited her father's Dodge Grand Caravan, mostly because of her need for all the cargo space for her instruments. Sunset, on the other hand, got her aunt's Kia Forte, a smaller car the two used when they had no need for the minivan. Twilight didn't have one yet, but she also told her father she didn't really want one at the moment, merely because she had her cousin and sister to rely on. Well, if you're Sir Twilight, Knight told her, I don't want you to feel left out. No, Dad, I'm serious. Besides, it's not like I'm the only one of my friends without a car. Pinky and Rainbow don't have ones either. Besides, it's not really like I need them to get around the area. Well, you're sure, he replied, before turning back to the other two. Girls, just because you now own your own cars doesn't mean you need to drive around like lunatics, got that? Last thing I need is Shiny to call me at 3 in the morning because you had an accident or something. I'm not sure I could do that in a minivan anyway, Uncle Knight. Octavia cracked a grin. Personally, I want to live long enough to officially be adopted, Sunset said with a smile, so no wild driving for me, I promise. Good. Now you go ahead and get out of here and do whatever it is teenagers with cars do. It's been a while for me. Besides, I have some paperwork to do. Sure thing, Dad, Twilight commented. Snipe headed off towards his office. The plum-haired scroller asked, So what now? Maybe go see the other girls and plan for the week, Octavia suggested. Rarity wanted to plan a trip for all of us to hit the beach. Mainly if only to keep the Care sisters out of their hair. Maybe between us, them, and the triplets, we could do an overnight camping trip. Well, they do have those over at Horseshoe Bay. Twilight shuddered at the memory and Sunset caught that. How about Mendocino? The flame-haired girl suggested. I heard some nice things about it, and it's a road trip, so it's all good. You know, that's a good idea. Let's go pester them at luck, the raven-haired girl said impishly. Okay, who's driving? Twilight asked. The trio looked at each other for the longest time, before Twilight took the initiative. Told her father she was borrowing his car, dragged her sister and cousin towards it. Meanwhile, at the Sugar Cube Corner Cafe, a different conversation was carrying on. It was a slow day, and most of it Mrs. Cake had spent tending to her children, leaving Sonata to pretty much run the place. At the moment, only 2 customers were in the cafe, so Sonata made sure to give them personal service. Admittedly, they didn't tip well, but regardless, they meant a lot to her. So, we're absolutely sure about this, Adagio asked her sisters, because when we make this choice, there's no turning back. Maddie will stay us until we're 18 because of American law, but once we're college-bound, we won't see her as often. We won't see Mezzo and Vesper as soon as we tell them we want to leave. I know, but I can't do this, sis. It's not the life I want to lead, Arya told her. I love martial arts, and I'm a sharpshooter. Maybe I could find work as a stunt woman or a cop, but we spent most of our lives running around the world doing stuff girls our age shouldn't do. Maybe things people in general shouldn't do. It's nothing that I want to grow old and alone thinking about. Old and alone? Sanaya caught that comment. Someone ask you out? Yeah, Edor Court, my boss over at the Y, Arya said, blushing lightly. I keep trying to find reasons to assume him, but it's nice having someone pay attention to me. Yeah, I know. There's this guy who goes to the high school over at Cali who comes in every morning after his jog to grab a frozen mocha. Sanaa sighed. He asked for my phone number more than once. Lucky, Adagio mocked groan. Maybe that'll happen for me once we start school. If I recall correctly, we're in the zone for Caroline High, not one of the other ones. In any case, I've asked Maddie to have Vesper and Mezzo attend. I know this will break their hearts, but we have to do what's best for us. Break their hearts? The fact that you and I are probably never going to see our shores for a long, long time should be a concern, Arya interjected. It is for me. Sorry, Adagio told her. I know you love her and that she's family, but this is our future, Ari. It's not theirs. An uncomfortable silence fell over the three before Sanaa finally spoke up with, Well, I'll be home as soon as we close. Maybe someone could order pizza or something? I don't think it's a good idea for any of us to cook tonight. I've got to be emotional enough as it is. I'll make a pizza, Adagio offered. Guess I could get used to it again, once I start working for Shim and Sham when the new restaurant opens. So, anyone want to tell me why the triplets are here? Rainbow asked as she sat down. The girls were meeting together at Applejack's place. The younger trio were present as well. The living room was packed to practical capacity, and all were noshing on an extra case of Rainbow's favorite apple soda, as well as some fresh chocolate chip cookies Granny Smith had made a few minutes before. Yeah, I called them about an hour ago, and Dazzy said they had something important to do with their oldest sister, Pinky explained. They said to call tomorrow and update them on the plans. In any case, woohoo! Partying on the beach! So, okay, so we're going to travel, you guys? Ebba asked. Unless you've got wheels of your own and can drive for over 4 hours, Rainbow drawled. No, I think you're good, Sleebell interjected. Applebloom had hinted earlier they could get a badge at car repair, but Slee was certain that one camping, one they hadn't had a chance to get before, was probably going to be much easier to do. Well, after consulting with my parents, they highly recommended Mendocino as well, Rarity said, handing out a bunch of documents he printed out for the group. The vacation, though, once before I was born, they recommended some hotels, but when I told them we'd be camping, well, after Mother called Father down, they thought it'd be a wonderful way to pass the weekend. Mom and Dad weren't happy about us camping? Sweetie asked. No, but you know how Father can be. He was worried about a tsunami, or a hurricane, or some ancient evil rising from the sea or something. Personally, I think he's just being overprotective. Rarity finished with a laconic, but nevertheless elegant shrug. Don't let him talk to my dad, Fluttershy interjected. Now that he lives with us again, he's been on a bit on a overprotective streak. Puppytails is currently in hiding, she added, and nobody was really sure if she was serious or not. Well, I guess I'm in charge of the cooking, Applejack volunteered. So you figure as the person whose family owned an organic grocery, it's only a matter of time before anyone asked. But it all brings something. It's not fair you bring all the food, Octavia piped in. I appreciate that my parents don't mind, but since we've got the truck, I figure I could use that to carry the camping gear. Well, it's gonna be a great chance for me to make some of my outdoor recipes, Piggy said, squealing. They're gonna have so many different flavors of s'mores! There's more than one flavor of s'more? Twilight asked. Rarity giggled. Twilight, dear, you should know by now that when there's a Pinky, there's a M-away. Pinky, meanwhile, without missing a beat, continued, and then there's a Beatus. This is pretty good, too. Oh, no, not the Beatus, Rainbow groaned. Last time you made that, I was in sugar shock for the whole day. Rainbow? Don't you say you needed the sugar anyway for the heresy? Applejack asked, recalling that moment. Well, yeah, but the crash afterwards put me asleep after the game, and I missed out on the team celebration. Me, the team captain! Do you know how embarrassing that was? Sunset sleeplessly put her hand up. Actually, that was my fault, she admitted, an awkward smile on her face. I, slipped in some powdered Benadryl back then. It blended with the sugar. If it helps, well, sorry. Rainbow threw her arms. Fingers! She grunted. So, we're good for what, next weekend? Fluttershy asked. I had Dearling camp that weekend, Pinky told her. What about the weekend afterwards? We can make it a double party, both for the summer winding down and for Sunset's adopted 2 weeks later. I like that idea, personally, Twilight said, moving us to bump Sunset playfully. But no party afterwards, Pinky, Octavia asked, still slipping. Silly Toffee, of course there's gonna be a party afterwards. What kind of Pinky do you take me for? Sanaa came home to see their grandstewars gathered all around the table, in their capped hats, looking over the documents. Standing behind them, also in uniform, were her sisters. They had cut their hair to regulation again, and were no longer the mere teenage girls they had been hours earlier. No, Sanaa gasped. You promised me, Dodgy. You said we all do this together. Ermizel Blue looked up from the document. Seaman Dusk, you're late. What's your excuse? Madrigal Storm looked at her fellow siren. She didn't know, Lieutenant. Give her a break. Fine. You have 5 minutes to get into uniform, Seaman Dusk. I'll excuse the non-Rex cut for now, but I want that fixed by tomorrow. Understood? What's going on? There's been a general recall, Sonny, Adagio said as he approached her sister. All active duty sirens and any reservists on ready recall have been ordered to station. Our new facility in downtown Caroline. What? Arya joined him. We had to do this. This is our last chance to get revenge against those who wronged us. Then we could come back and be normal girls without any pressure or guilt. Sanaa looked terrified. Why? Don't you guys care? We want a normal life, and now... The youngest of the triplets waved her arms angrily to encompass everything. Why did you lie to me, Tashi? Why are you backing her, Ari? You said you wanted a normal life, damn it! We wanted a normal life for you 3 as well. Ermizel looked not unkindly at the teenager, not as the officer in charge of her cell, but rather as the older sister she had been Adagio for all her life. We wouldn't ask this if the recall didn't happen here. But a full battalion? That's throwing a gauntlet in Lescar's faces. Sisters is not going to take this slightly, Sanaa stated with a tone that she shouldn't have had just weeks before their cursed mission began. It was a sign of how much he changed since the world food had been offered. I know. I hope the old man knows what she's doing. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Ermizo added. Otherwise, this is going to be short and brutal for us. But I promise, once this is all over, whatever plans Captain Blast has for us, they will include you three. They might even include us. She looked back at Madrigal and Vesper, then back at Sonata. You three need a guiding hand. Far be it for us to abandon our petite source. Adagio took her sister's hand. Please, Sonny, we can't do this without you. Arya looked together. I know. It's not going to be easy to tell our friends, even if we'll see them again. Once we're done, we're done. We'll be in together. Sonata had a very bad feeling about this, but didn't voice it. She couldn't leave her sisters in their sewers, even as she felt everything was going south. Okay, I'm in, she said, knowing this was going to be the biggest mistake of her life. She only hoped it wouldn't be the last she ever made. Ermizo nodded. To get into uniform so I could formally report to the quarterdeck or mustered on station. Nervously, Sonata came to attention, sealing her fate. Ma'am, she said, wincing. At the desk in a private office adjacent to the bedroom, the fine Wright looked at a copy of the grimoire that he commissioned for Katana. It wouldn't be a perfect duplicate. He had to hold something reserved after all, but the transcription he was making would be more serviceable enough. Of course, there was no assurance that he would be able to use it, unless he was a distant relative or someone from another one of the ancient bloodlines that the Caliphate mentioned in his memoirs. If that wasn't the case, he would have to enchant a few items for her. Either way, it was just another way of ensuring her loyalty. In any case, it wouldn't be ready for a while still. The historian he hired to translate one to the other was having some issues with one of Califante's handwriting, and had delayed it for another day. He looked at the small circle of runes he had written down, as well as the vial in the center, giving off a sulfur scent. A chemical magic was still weak to him, but he was trying to learn that quickly. He had little choice in the matter. After all, his current project had been due to what he had learned from his grimoire, and if it was to proceed beyond the embryonic stage, they would need to make himself adept in short order. Then he tapped a large touchscreen he had installed from the desk, knowing that the creature in another room had once been Piano Bliss. Another part of him felt bad for turning into the creature that blood was being drawn from. But if his plan was to succeed, he would have to do it. A lot depended on that creature, the first of his true magical challenges. But he knew how to easily defeat any challenge, because it was his divine right to rule, to become God Emperor to own this, the first of many worlds. Behind him, he could feel the sudden touch of Katana's fingers on the back of his neck. Come to bed. It's 2 in the morning. I still have things to do, he told her, taking her hand and kissing it briefly. Don't you? He then asked her as he turned around to face her in a nearly naked glory. She slipped on a defiant background to come to him. Katana smiled. That's what's great about being a CEO. I have an officer of the day who handles that sort of thing during the off hours. But I'll be back in uniform at 0800. That's when I have to announce other combat cells coming in, so I can form into new companies. Then you should go to bed. I'll be along after this last set of spells to cast in preparation for the big night. And you'll give me more details in the morning, I presume? I'll give you more than that, my dearest lady, he told her. She put her arms around him, and like what? Like the first step in owning this world, he said, eyes twinkling with sinister delight. She then leaned down and kissed him. You come to bed in 5 minutes, and I'll show you a few things I've done over the years, she cooed. With that, she walked back towards the bed, and then looked briefly at some astronomical, astrological charts, as it would be of supreme importance soon. Assured that all was in place, he closed the book, confident it would be done soon. As he rose from his chair, he looked at the moon and headed towards indulgence with the horizon. Alas, all the pieces are falling together, he mused. I will have my throne and more. I'll have a wife that is truly worthy of me, and an army to grind my enemies into the dust. He then reached into his pocket, pulling an old, faded picture of him during his teenage years. He was with a girl of incredible beauty, and that even after all this time still had feelings for. But she spurned him and moved away, to this very town, and led a life without him. Well, here would be where he would get his revenge, a truly sweet and well-deserved one, because he spurned him and turned aside his affections. Now, after all this time, she would pay for that dearly. This is where I take everything from you, Solari, he mused, ripping out the picture and throwing it in the garbage, including that which is most dear to you. Under the sun-dappled light of a French morning, a group of teens departed the ornately designed brick building onto Bis Rue des Feux Safal. Normally, the school was alive with a number of languages: French, English, Spanish, Dutch, and a myriad of tongues of the various nationalities that made up the student body at the Lycée International de Saint-Germain-en-Laye, a world-famous international school located in the Parisian sub of the Vence. Well, it's still the summer holiday, at least for most of the student body. Next week, school will start for the students assigned to the French, Dutch, and Russian sections of the storied academy. Walking out of the wing assigned to the American section of the school, a girl called out to her friends. "Thanks for coming with me, girls," she said with an awkward smile. One of them, with midnight blue and white hair, said, "Hey, it's not like it's asking for temporary leave from the school's common. Besides, you need friends right now. You're probably taking it hard with devastating family this summer." "Thanks, Night Lily. But seriously, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go." That's macabre as hell. A second one with cyan and tan-haired murmured. "I don't see she made it that late, Peach Cover." A third one with Sir Coral Pink added. "No, I didn't. Priceless. What I meant was, well, no one expected my uncle and aunt to have that car crash in Monaco. But Uncle Patele was never much of a safe driver. And Aunt Quinelle wasn't much better. I loved them both, and I missed them dearly." The girl's eyes widened for a second, before she turned away to look into the distance. As for my grandmother, she lived a long life and was happy. At least the last time I saw her. At least Mom says that if we can make it there time the next few days, we'll be able to attend the funeral. Priceless grinned, lime green eyes sparkling. "Well, at least you got a sweet consolation prize. You get to go back to the States. Woohoo! Shopping!" Nat Lily rolled her eyes. Price? We live in Paris, remember? We're already spoiled as it is. Besides, I don't know how much shopping I'll be doing during the next few weeks I'm there," the girl admitted. "Remember, I haven't been back since I was a kid. Been living here in France since Mom moved back." The quartet across the street, walking towards the nearest bus stop. As it is, when not getting to meet the extended family, I'll probably be studying to keep my grades up. Beach Cover laughed. "Studying, really? The girl with perfect grades needs to study?" "Beachy, look, my studies are important. Since I want to attend a good university when we graduate, and even with my grades, Harvard or Oxford can be tough to get into." The girl smiled softly, adding, "Besides, for what Mom tells me and what little I remember, Carolina is hardly known for anything out of the ordinary. It's just your average mid-sized city in the U.S., not even as exciting as if we're going to New York or L.A. or whatever." Night Lily then looked at her friends and said, "Well, promise you won't forget us while you're gone, okay?" Beach Cover laughed. "You better bring us presents or else." "Hey, you gals are my best friends," Sunset Simmer said as she brushed a lock of her fiery-hued bangs out of her cyan eyes. "You know I'm going to." Bum, bum, bum! Right, next chapter, correct? No, Trixie. No. Yep. No. Yep. No! Your audience is going to have to wait another year? Yep. They are. Remember, this is a yearly thing with the books. They're all going to have to wait and wait and wait and have to sit through the Luniverse. Trixie feels like you're teasing them now. Yeah. Review. I really enjoyed this once again. I love where the characters are going. I love how the characters are building. Mysteries are going up. And if I had only a couple of complaints right now, is one, I kind of wish we put these stories about the spies later. Because what was really intriguing me wasn't so much the spy work, was the characterizations of it all. And the slice of life stories. That was what was the most intriguing to me. But I love the twists and turns all this is taking. The emotional relevance. It's all been hitting hard. And I love every moment of it. Well, Luniverse is next, guys. See you then.